strike. And while many people say, well, that makes sense, you just had this meeting, that would be strike one. This is the third strike because the first strike is the meeting. The second strike is actually conducting the, what the wrestlers are doing, what the superstars are doing. Because let's not forget that, if my wallet gets stolen and there's a threat to the president in there that says I'm going to go kill the president, I'm still going to get in trouble, even though my wallet was stolen, because they're saying, well, what kind of behavior are you still conducting?
Exactly.
So if bank account information is stolen from Charlotte or email information is stolen from Paige, that's different. She's not going to be fired if they steal that 1,000 times over. They're going to literally probably force her to be smarter, or maybe just take her phone away from her when it comes to that stuff. But the thing is here, they're pretty much saying, listen, if you're going to do what you do, this is how you prevent it from happening. But if it gets caught,
just don't use your camera on it,
But if you're going to do it again, we're going to have to actually take some sort of action in the fact that you keep partaking in this.
Yeah,
my company doesn't care if I steal from every store in town and never get caught, because they would never know about it. But the second that they find out about it, they not just care about how they found out, but they care then about the actual stealing.
Yes, exactly.
So with this, it's more than just cybersecurity, but it's also knock it off. You better be 100% sure. Like I said, your company doesn't care what you do as long as it doesn't come back to them. But when it comes back to them, like the Paige thing, the Charlotte thing, the Caitlyn thing,
that's not good PR.
That's not good PR. Okay, so they're pretty much saying, here's how you can make it so that it kind of doesn't happen. But more importantly, just stop partaking in the activity. Stop putting yourself out there. One of the people apparently got caught up in this hacking, if you will. And so it must have been a male wrestler, I'm assuming, but a female wrestler gave a male superstar, or not a female wrestler, a female fan gave a male superstar a USB drive and said that there was full of nude photos of them, and they were a big fan. And as a male, they took the USB drive, loaded it onto their computer in order to view the photos of one of these groupies, one of these fans outside the arena. Mm-hmm. And that's how the hacking happened. They sucked in all their information. And that's how one of these hacking events took place.
It happens.
So they said, be more cautious when it comes to that. But more importantly, I think the big thing is, when you're Paige, when you're Charlotte, tell your boyfriend, I'm sorry, I would love to send you these photos, but I'm Charlotte Flair. I can't do that.
You can come see it in person, so to speak. You know what I mean? Don't put it on the cloud, because it stays on the cloud. There's been movies made about that. I think there was a movie, Sex Tape, I think it was called. They got on the cloud and then they tried to destroy it. It was a movie, I think it was a couple years ago. But
I mean, especially for Paige.
Especially
for Paige, the kind of thing, forget that she was, everyone's calling her a victim of all this stuff. But more, what is she thinking about, though, when she is not just, forget doing it. Who cares about doing it? Videotaping it.
And here's the worst part. And when
you involve other WWE superstars, let's forget this never got out via hacking. Let's just think that maybe Xavier Woods all of a sudden doesn't like you.
And the title. Yeah. There were pictures of her, doing certain things. And certain things were on the title, so to speak. And that, that's bad. Vince McMahon, if he, I'm surprised Paige hasn't gotten fired.
There's a reason why, well, we haven't seen Paige, and I don't think she's ever coming back.
But they haven't released anything that she's fired, though.
I think probably because of all this, they don't even want to mention her again. They kind of want to just sweep it under the rug. They don't want to mention that she's been released, because that would give you the idea that she's still there. They want to give you the idea of, she went out on injury and she voluntarily never came back, and whatever you saw of her is not of WWE superstar.
Yeah.
So we move on to the third question this week, and if you haven't noticed, but it all started with Alicia Fox and Noam Dar on 205 Live. Didn't think anything of it because Alicia Fox is not really a main roster talent. It's just kind of something to spice things up. But now we're starting to see people like Sasha Banks on 205 Live, former women's champion, one of the biggest women's stars in WWE. And there's rumors that we're going to get more main roster females on 205 Live, teaming up or managing a lot of the cruiserweights in order to increase viewership, because you're going to start having main roster WWE people on there. Obviously, you can't have Randy Orton, because that would defeat the purpose of 205 Live.
Yeah.
So you bring in the females who can kind of have this accessory, storyline with some of these people. What do you think about adding more main roster females to 205 Live to increase viewership?
is it really going to make that much of a difference? I don't think it really does. I mean, to me, it's honestly a slap in the face to Sasha Banks, in my opinion. Why put her on 205 Live? I mean, what does that do for her? What does that do for her brand? I mean, she's, these type of superstars, you got the Charlottes of the world, you got the Baileys of the world. To me, why put them on 205 Live? If you want to make 205 useful, maybe you use something along the lines of maybe some NXT superstars. Maybe you put some, you bring some NXT talent up, because there's a lot of guys that are NXT superstars that aren't quote unquote big, because you got to be under the 205 limit and a weight limit and all that stuff. There's a lot of smaller guys in NXT where you could maybe showcase their skills a little bit. Maybe you incorporate the United Kingdom guys, because some of those guys are not very big.
That's
either.
what I was thinking they were going to do all along, is incorporate more of the UK stuff. But more importantly, if you don't feel that strongly about the product that you feel from a WWE standpoint, that you have to supplement it with female talent coming on and making more silly storylines, then maybe it's time for you to take a look at the product itself and figure out how you can make the product better. And if you can't make the product better, then don't waste our time by just trying to dress it up.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I would say. To me, like, once again, the whole adding females to it, it's not anything against the women's, the women of the wrestling world. I honestly, to me, it's like some of these women are too good for that product. Like when we saw Sasha Banks and what the heck's his name? He was on the pay-per-view. Rich Swann. When you have a match like that, like, really? Why? Why? Especially if it's, if it was like Dana Brooke, I might buy it a little bit more. But Sasha Banks is one of your 4 horsewomen, as they like to call themselves. Mm-hmm. You don't do that. That, to me, that it's like, it's almost taking Sasha Banks, and she's already gone all these steps forward. It's like knocking her back down the stairs, so to speak, and knocking her down a few pegs. Like, why? Why do that? For me, you stick. I say, make it a hybrid, maybe between the NXT UK 205. Make it something. Maybe have a couple superstars from each little group there, and make add to the show. Because I will tell you right now, some of the best matches that I've seen in the last few months, the UK matches have been fantastic. I mean, the Bruiserweight is fantastic. Tyler Bate is fantastic. Watching the Bruiserweight win that title, Pete Dunne is a hell of a wrestler. Tyler Bate is a hell of a wrestler. They're both young Brits. Those guys stole the show the last time they performed. I thought, that even comparing to some of the matches we've seen, like the Fatal 5-Way, I enjoyed that match more than I enjoyed the Fatal 5-Way. That's just me. Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate are fantastic. They put on one hell of a show. So I could, if you maybe infuse those guys, because they're not known commodities. You're not going to see those guys on Raw and SmackDown. They maybe in the future, but at the moment, maybe those are the guys you put in the 205 Live NXT. You keep them in the NXT thing. That's where I go. Where do you go? Have you seen those guys, Tyler Bate and
I haven't seen as much UK stuff as I've seen 205 Live, because there isn't as much UK stuff out there. But I feel when it comes to speaking about 205 Live, I don't know exactly what the viewership is. I haven't looked up at it. I know, obviously, it's probably not as high as SmackDown Raw, obviously. But I feel that, you kind of knew this going in. You knew that 205 Live was not going to catch fire. It's a lot like ECW. When you brought ECW back, it was very popular. It was way more popular than when 205 Live started. But just like, 205 Live, even ECW, as hot as it was, kind of got old. And eventually now we don't have ECW anymore after SmackDown. We have 205 Live, which is kind of the replacement. Before you had a 2-hour SmackDown, then you had a live ECW. Now you have a 2-hour SmackDown, a live 205 Live. So it's pretty much in that, it feels like that same thought, 1 hour of programming. But you knew this heading in, so you should already have kind of had something set up from the WWE end of what happens if our stars get injured. I would be perfectly fine if 205 Live every single week was maybe just one match. It doesn't have to be multiple matches. You can even tape it, like I said, before SmackDown goes on the air, so you have a better crowd on hand. I don't know if exactly that would be the difference, because it seemed like a lot of the crowd was showing up after even SmackDown started. But like I said, it's the ratings shouldn't really be that big of a deal for the fact that it's on the WWE Network. So you already got the money from the people. So the ratings shouldn't really even be that big of a deal, because ratings, on a regular network is money. If they're not watching it, they're not watching the advertising. But if I already am paying to have the USA Network till 12 o'clock at night, then USA Network could care less if I actually turn it on. They're getting what they want. So I don't know why WWE is so concerned about the ratings of 205 Live, because of the fact that I'm not paying them any less money to not watch it. I'm paying them the money to watch 205 Live. Mm-hmm. So whether I tune it on or not is not going to make a difference. And believe me, if 205 Live completely disappeared, and nobody that I could think of on earth is going to cancel the WWE Network, because you still have the pay-per-views.
It's not going to hurt my feelings.
Really, you don't need to jazz up 205 Live to increase viewership, because viewership is kind of meaningless, because we're already paying for it. If everybody bought WrestleMania and paid $79.99 for it and then all just turned off their TVs, WWE would probably not care, because they are selling a pay-per-view to get the money, not for you to actually watch it. They just want the money. They assume, though, that if you're going to pay for it, you're going to watch it. But with 205 Live, I don't think they need to do this. And more importantly, if you feel that the product is lacking, find a way to make the product better.
Yeah, that's what I totally agree with you on that.
And frankly, I mean, I said this from the beginning. I don't think a weight division needs its own show, or was a good idea from the beginning. Don't know why they felt that way, but they did.
Make a segment out of it. That's all.
And believe me, if you add the women to it, in 1 year from now, I'm not going to sit there and say, wow, 205 Live, what an amazing show.
Wow, Sasha Banks is on there now? Whoa.
You're going to come up with a new problem. Believe me, people, we're going to watch Sasha Banks. You think that, how long you think that's going to last? You think people are going to just want to watch that forever? No. That's going to get old. You're going to have to refreshen that up. There's going to have to be something new. So you better have a better long-term plan than just throwing some women on there. It's not the worst plan in the world for now, but I hope WWE has a better long-term plan for 205 Live, or it's going to go the way of ECW, and that's non-existent. Well, when we return, we're going to do our Tweet of the Week and what to watch with our Watch This segment, as you're listening to the Heels to Face podcast on Sports War Radio, Rat Pack Radio, and now on iTunes.
The New York Jets are rising and are ready to compete in the AFC. Boyd Green and Ty Butler will give you everything you need to know about the Jets every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. From reviewing the previous game and looking ahead to the next matchup, to all of the news and 4 downs, the Jet Zone has everything. Follow @BoyGreen25 and @TyDButler on Twitter. Proud member of Sports War Radio. Let the battle begin.
This program is simulcast on WRPR Rat Pack Radio. Go to ratpacksports.com for more information.
Do you want to stay up to date on the latest sports news? Come check out After the Whistle from 4 to 5 p.m. every Friday night. We talk about the NHL, we talk about the NFL, we talk about the MLB, you name it, we got it. Tune in on Sports War Radio.
Now is the time to get your voice heard. Sports War Radio is now accepting applications for driven and knowledgeable sports fans who want to start their very own podcast about their favorite team. Sports War Radio has an international audience and is growing fast. Don't miss the chance to become the go-to news source for your favorite team. Email sportswarradio@gmail.com and tell us why you would be a great addition to our team. Sports War Radio. Let the battle begin.
Now is the time to get your voice heard. Sports War Radio is now accepting applications for driven and knowledgeable sports fans who want to start their very own podcast about their favorite team. Sports War Radio has an international audience and is growing fast. Don't miss the chance to become the go-to news source for your favorite team. Email sportswarradio@gmail.com and tell us why you would be a great addition to our team. Sports War Radio. Let the battle begin.
Let's get back to the action. This is the Heel to the Face podcast on Sports War Radio.